Chapter 19. I don't see the Carter Spink brochure again for 2 weeks when I'm drifting into the kitchen to make lunch. I don't know what happened to time. I barely recognize it anymore. The minutes and hours don't march past in rigid chunks. They ebb and flow and swirl around. I don't even wear a watch anymore. Yesterday I lay in a hayfield all afternoon with Nathaniel, watching dandelion seeds float by, and the only ticking sound came from the crickets. I barely recognize myself anymore either. I'm tan from lying in the sun at lunchtimes. There are golden streaks in my hair, my cheeks are full, my arms are gaining muscles from all the polishing and kneading and carting heavy saucepans around. The summer is in full throttle, and each day is hotter than the last. Every morning before breakfast, Nathaniel walks me back through the village to the geyser's house from his flat above the pub, and even at that hour, the air is already warming up. I stay there most nights now, and it's almost got to feel like home. It's surprisingly spacious, with old sofas covered with cotton throws and a tiny roof terrace that Nathaniel built himself. We often sit up there as evening turns into night, listening to the babble of pub leavers down below. Sometimes Nathaniel's doing the pub accounts, but he talks to me as he works, about the backgrounds of everyone in the village, about the plants he wants to put into the geyser's garden, once explaining the entire geology of the local landscape. I tell him about the day I've had with the geysers and entertain him with stories about the latest catering job I've done for Eamon. It's become quite a regular event for me, driving off in his scruffy Honda with a couple of other girls from the village, changing into black waitress outfits, and serving canapes at some posh party or other. Everything seems slow and lazy these days. Everyone's in holiday mood, except Trish, who is in full frenzy. She's holding her charity lunch next week, and from the fuss she's making, you'd think it was a royal wedding. I'm tidying away the papers that Melissa has left littered on the table when I spot the Carter Spink brochure underneath the folder. I can't resist picking it up and leafing through the familiar pictures. They're the steps I went up every day of my life for 7 years. There's Guy looking as dazzling as ever. There's that girl Sarah from the litigation department who was up for partnership too. I never even heard if she got it. What are you doing? Melissa has come into the kitchen without me hearing. She eyes me suspiciously. That's mine. Right, I think I'm going to steal a brochure. Just tidying your things, I say pointedly, putting the brochure down. I've got to use this table. Thanks. Melissa rubs her face. She looks haggard. There are shadows under her eyes, and her cheeks seem sunken. Could I have looked that stressed out even at her age? You're working hard, I volunteer. Yeah, well, she lifts her chin. It'll be worth it in the end. They work you really hard to start, but after you qualify, it calms down. I look at her tired, pinched, arrogant little face. Even if I could tell her what I know, she wouldn't believe me. Yep, I say after a pause. I'm sure you're right. The Carter Spink brochure is open at a picture of Arnold. He's wearing a bright blue spotted tie and matching handkerchief and is beaming out at the world. Of all the people at Carter Spink, he's the one I'd like to see again. So are you applying to this law firm? I ask, stacking the papers on the counter. Yep, they're the best. Melissa's getting a Diet Coke from the fridge. That's the guy who is supposed to be interviewing me. She points to the picture of Arnold, but he's leaving. I'm astonished. Arnold's leaving Carter Spink? Are you sure? I say before I can stop myself. Yes, Melissa regards me quizzically. What's it to you? Oh, nothing, I say, throwing down the brochure. I just meant he doesn't look old enough to retire. Well, he's going. She grabs the brochure and wanders out of the kitchen. Arnold is leaving Carter Spink, but he's always said he'd never retire. He's always boasted about lasting another 20 years. Why would he be leaving now? I'm totally out of touch. For more than a month, I've been living in a bubble. I haven't seen the lawyer. I've barely even seen a normal paper. I don't know any of the gossip, and I haven't cared a bit. But now, as I look at Arnold's familiar face, I can feel my curiosity rise. So that afternoon, when I've cleared up lunch, I slip into Eddie's study, switch on the computer, and click on Google. I search for Arnold Seville, and sure enough, on the second page, I come across a little diary item about his early retirement. I read the 50-word piece over and over, trying to glean clues. Why would Arnold retire early? Is he ill? I search for further items, but that's the only one I can find. Next, I go to the search box and, telling myself I shouldn't, type in Samantha Sweeting. Immediately, a zillion stories about me pop up on the screen. I don't feel so freaked out this time, though. The person in these stories doesn't feel like me anymore. I scan entry after entry, seeing the same details replayed. After clicking through about 5 pages, I add Third Union Bank to my search and scan the resulting entries. Then I type in Third Union Bank, BLLC Holdings, then Third Union Bank, Glazer Brooks. Then, with a beat of apprehension, I type in Samantha Sweeting, 50 million pounds, career over, and wait for all the really nasty stories to appear. It's like watching my own car crash on Action Replay. Gosh, Google is addictive. I sit there totally absorbed, clicking and typing and reading, gorging on endless web pages, automatically using the Carter Spink password wherever I need to. After an hour, I'm slumped in Eddie's chair like a zombie. My back is aching, and my neck is stiff, and the words are all running into one another. I'd forgotten what it was like to sit at a computer. Did I really used to do this all day? I rub my tired eyes and glance at the web page open in front of me, wondering how I even got to it. It's some obscure list of guests at a lunch held earlier this year at the Painters Hall. About halfway down is the name BLLC Holdings, which must have been the link. On autopilot, I move the cursor along the page, and into view comes the name Nicholas Hanford Jones, director. Something chimes inside my addled brain. Nicholas Hanford Jones. Why do I know that name? Why am I somehow associating it with Ketterman? Is BLLC Holdings a client of Ketterman? No, it can't be. I'd have heard of it before. I screw my eyes up tight and concentrate as hard as I can. Nicholas Hanford Jones. I can almost see it in my mind's eye. I'm grasping at an association, an image. Come on, think. This is the trouble with having a nearly photographic memory. People think it must be useful when in fact all it does is drive you insane. And then suddenly it comes to me, the swirly writing of a wedding invitation. It was stuck up on the pinboard in Ketterman's office about 3 years ago. It was there for weeks. I used to see it every time I went in. Mr. and Mrs. Arnold Seville request the pleasure of your company at the wedding of their daughter Fiona to Mr. Nicholas Hanford Jones. Nicholas Hanford Jones is Arnold Seville's son-in-law. Arnold has a family connection with BLLC Holdings. I sit up in my chair, totally disconcerted. How come he never mentioned that? And then another thought strikes me. I was on the BLLC Holdings Company's house page a minute ago. Why wasn't Nicholas Hanford Jones listed as a director? That's illegal for a start. I rub my brow, then out of curiosity type in Nicholas Hanford Jones. A moment later, the screen is full of entries and I lean forward. Oh, for gosh sake, the internet is crap. I'm looking at other Nicholases and other Hanfords and other Joneses, mentioned in all sorts of different contexts. I peer at them in total frustration. Doesn't Google realize that's not what I'm interested in? Why would I want to read about some Canadian rowing team list containing a Greg Hanford, a Dave Jones, and a Chip Nicholas? I'm never going to find anything here. Even so, I start picking my way down, skimming each chunk of text, clicking on to the next page and the next, and then, just as I'm about to give up, my eye falls on an entry tucked away at the bottom of the page. William Hanford Jones, Finance Director of Glazer Brooks, thanked Nicholas Jenkins for his speech. This is incredible. The Finance Director at Glazer Brooks is called Hanford Jones too? Are they from the same family? Feeling like some kind of private detective, I log into Friends Reunited, and 2 minutes later I have my answer. They're brothers. I feel a bit dazed. This is a pretty huge connection. The finance director of Glazer Brooks, which went bust, owing Third Union Bank £50 million. A director of BLLC Holdings, which lent it £50 million 3 days before, and Arnold representing Third Union Bank. All related, all in the same extended family. I'm almost certain nobody else knows. Arnold's never mentioned it. No one at Carter Spink has ever mentioned it, nor have I seen it brought up in any of the reports on the whole affair. Arnold's kept all of this very quiet. I rub my shoulders, trying to gather my jumbled thoughts. Isn't this a potential conflict of interest? Shouldn't he have disclosed the information straight away? Why on earth would Arnold keep such an important thing secret unless... No. I feel a bit lightheaded, as though I've suddenly swum over the ledge into mile-deep water. My mind is flying ahead, careening onto possibilities and shearing away again in disbelief. Did Arnold discover something? Is he hiding something? Is this why he's leaving? I get up and thrust my hands through my hair. Okay, let's just stop all this right now. This is Arnold I'm talking about. Arnold! I'm turning to some nutty conspiracy theorist. Next, I'll be typing in aliens, Roswell, they live among us. With sudden resolution, I get out my phone. I'll call Arnold. I'll wish him well in his retirement. Then maybe I can get rid of these ridiculous ideas floating around my head. It takes me about 6 failed attempts before I muster the courage to dial the entire number and wait for a reply. The idea of talking to anyone at Carter Spink, let alone Arnold, makes me feel slightly sick. I keep bottling out before being connected, thrusting the phone down as though I've had a narrow escape. But at last I steel myself to press the digits and hold the line. I'm never going to know unless I do this. I can talk to Arnold. I can hold my head up. After 3 rings, the phone is picked up by Lara, Arnold Seville's office. I have a sudden vision of her, plump and shiny-haired, sitting at her pale wooden desk in the burgundy jacket she always wears. tapping on the computer. It all seems a million miles away now. Hi, Laura, I say. It's Samantha. Samantha Sweeting. Samantha. Laura sounds polaxed. Buddy, how? How are you? What are you up to? I'm fine, thanks. Really good. I quell a spasm of nerves. I just rang because I've heard that Arnold's leaving. Is it true? It's true, says Laura with relish. I was gobsmacked. Apparently, Ketterman took him out to dinner and tried to get him to stay, but he'd made up his mind. Get this, he's moving to the Bahamas. The Bahamas? I say in astonishment. He's bought a house there. Looks lovely. His retirement party's next week, Laura continues. I'll be transferring to Derek Green's office. You remember him. Taxation partner. Very nice guy, though apparently he can have a bit of a temper. Great, I cut her off, suddenly remembering her ability to gossip for hours. Laura, I just wanted to give Arnold my best wishes. If you could possibly put me through? Really? Laura sounds surprised. That's incredibly generous of you, Samantha, after what happened. Well, you know, I say awkwardly, it wasn't Arnold's fault, was it? He did what he could. There's a strange silence. Yes, says Laura after a pause. Well, I'll put you through. After a few moments, Arnold's familiar voice is booming down the line. Samantha, dear girl, is it really you? It's really me, I manage a smile. I haven't quite disappeared off the face of the earth. I should hope not. Now, you're all right, are you? I'm fine, I say awkwardly. Thanks. I was just surprised to hear you're retiring. I've never glutton for punishment, he gives an easy laugh. 33 years at the cold face of law. It's enough for any human, let alone any lawyer. Just his jovial voice is reassuring me. I must be crazy. Arnold couldn't be involved in anything untoward. He couldn't be hiding anything. He's Arnold. I'll mention it to him, I decide, just to prove it to myself. Well, I hope it all goes well, I say. And I guess you'll be seeing more of your family? I'll be lumbered with the biters, yes, he booms with laughter again. I never knew your son-in-law was a director of BLLC Holdings. I attempt in an easy voice. Quite a coincidence. There's a beat of silence. I'm sorry, says Arnold. His voice is still as charming as ever, but the warmth has disappeared. BLLC Holdings, I saw, you know, the other company involved with the Third Union Bank loan, the one that registered a charge. I just happened to notice. I have to go now, Samantha. Arnold cuts me off smoothly. Delightful to chat, but I'm leaving the country next week, and there's a lot to do. It's exceedingly busy here, so I wouldn't ring again if I were you. The line goes dead before I can say any more. I slowly put down the phone and stared at a butterfly fluttering outside the window. That wasn't right. That wasn't a natural reaction. He got rid of me as soon as I mentioned his son-in-law. Something is going on. Something is definitely going on. I've totally abandoned the housework for the afternoon, and I'm sitting on my bed with a pad of paper and pencil, trying to work out the possibilities. Who stands to gain? I stare at my scribbled facts and arrows of connection yet again. 2 brothers, millions of pounds being transferred between banks and companies. Think. With a small cry of frustration, I rip out the page and crumple it. Let's start again. Let's get everything in logical order. Glazer Brooks went into receivership. Third Union Bank lost their money. BLLC Holdings jumped ahead in the queue. I tap my pencil impatiently on the paper, but so what? They only get back the money they loaned. They don't get any advantage. They don't get any benefit. It's pointless. Unless they never paid over anything in the first place. The thought comes to me out of nowhere. I sit bolt upright, unable to breathe. What if that's it? What if it's a scam? My mind starts to race. Suppose there are two brothers. They know that Glazer Brooks is in serious financial trouble. They know that the bank has just paid in $50 million, but the bank's charge wasn't registered. That means there's a $50 million unsecured loan swirling around in the company, up for grabs by anyone else who registers a charge. I can't sit anymore. I'm pacing backward and forward, feverishly gnawing my pencil. My brain's sparking like an electrical circuit. It works. It works. They fiddle the figures. BLLC Holdings gets the money that Third Union Bank paid over. Carter Spanks Insurers foot the bill. I pause in my striding. No, it doesn't work. I'm being stupid. The insurers are only covering the $50 million because I was negligent. That's the crucial element. The whole plan would have depended on me, Samantha Sweeting, making that particular mistake. But I mean, how on earth could they have planned that? It makes no sense. It's impossible. You can't plan a mistake in advance. You can't make someone forget to do something. You can't make someone fuck up. And then I stop dead. My skin suddenly feels clammy. The memo. I never saw that memo on my desk until it was too late. I know I didn't. What if... Oh my gosh. I sink onto the window seat, my legs like rubber. What if someone planted that memo on my desk, slipped it into a pile of papers after the deadline had passed? What if I didn't make a mistake? I feel like everything is cracking and reshaping around me. What if Arnold deliberately didn't register the bank charge and made it look like my fault? Like a looped tape, my conversation with Arnold that day is playing over and over in my mind. When I said I couldn't remember seeing the memo on my desk, and he immediately changed the subject. I assumed the memo was there all the time. I assumed it was my error, my inefficiency. But what if it wasn't? Everyone at Carter Spink knew I had the messiest desk in the firm. It would be easy to slip it into a pile of papers, make it look as if it had been there for weeks. I'm breathing harder and harder till I'm almost hyperventilating. For the first time, I'm realizing the huge strain I've been under. I have lived with that mistake for more than a month. It's been there every morning when I wake up and every day when I go to bed, like a constant background ache that I've gotten used to, like a chorus in my head. Samantha Sweeting ruined her life. Samantha Sweeting fucked up. But what if I was used? What if it wasn't my fault? What if I didn't make a mistake after all? I have to know. I have to know the truth right now. With a shaking hand, I reach for my mobile phone and punch in the number again. Laura, I need to speak to Arnold again, I say as soon as I'm connected. Samantha, Laura sounds awkward. I'm afraid Arnold won't take any more calls from you, and he asked me to tell you that you're not to pester him about your job anymore. I'm in shock. What has he been saying about me? Laura, I'm not pestering him about my job, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I just need to talk to him about a matter. If you won't talk to me, I'll come to the office. Can you make me an appointment, please? Samantha. She sounds even more embarrassed than before. Arnold told me to inform you, if you try to come here to the offices, security will eject you. Eject me? I stare at the phone in disbelief. I'm sorry, I really am, and I don't blame you, she adds fervently. I thought what Arnold did to you was really shocking. A lot of us do. What he did to me? Does Laura know the memo was planted? What do you mean, I stammer. The way he got you fired, says Laura. What? I feel like all the breath has been squeezed from my chest. What are you talking about? I did wonder if you knew. She lowers her voice. He's leaving now, so I can say it. I took the minutes at that meeting after you ran off, and Arnold talked round all the other partners. He said you were a liability and they couldn't risk taking you back and all sorts. A lot of them wanted to give you another chance, you know. She clicks her tongue. I was appalled. Of course I couldn't say anything to Arnold. Of course not, I managed. Thanks for telling me, Laura. I had no idea. Everything is distorted. Arnold didn't fight my corner at all. He got me fired. I don't know this man at all. All that genial, affable charm, it's an act. It's a bloody act. With a sickening lurch, I suddenly recall him the day after it happened, insisting I should stay where I was, not come back. That's why. He wanted me out of the way so I couldn't fight for myself, so he could stitch me up. And I trusted him, totally and utterly, like a stupid, gullible fool. My chest is heaving painfully. All my doubts have disappeared. Arnold is on something crooked. I knew it. He planted that memo, knowing it would destroy my career. And in a week, he'll have disappeared to the Bahamas. I feel a stab of panic. I need to take action now. Laura, I say, trying to sound calm, could you put me through to Guy Ashby? I know Guy and I had a row, but he's the only person I can think of right now who'll be able to help me. Guy's in Hong Kong, says Laura, surprised, didn't you know? Right, I say, my heart pummeling. No, I didn't know. But he'll have his BlackBerry with him, she adds helpfully. You should send him an email. Yes, I take a deep breath. Yes, maybe I'll do that. Chapter 20. I can't do it. I just can't. There is no way of writing this email without sounding like a paranoid crazy. I look in despair at my 10th attempt. Dear Guy, I need you to help me. I think I have been set up by Arnold. I think he planted that memo on my desk. Something is going on. He has family links with both BLLC Holdings and Glazer Brooks. Did you know that? Why did he never tell anyone? And now he's banned me from the building, which in itself is suspicious. I sound delusional. I sound like some bitter, twisted ex-employee with a grudge, which, of course, is what I am. As I run my eyes over my words, I'm reminded of nothing more than the wild-eyed old woman who used to stand at the corner of our street muttering, "They're coming to get me." I have total sympathy for that old woman now. They probably were coming to get her. Guy will just laugh. I can see him now. Arnold Seville, a crook? It sounds insane. Maybe I am insane. It's only a theory. I don't have evidence. I don't have anything solid. I lean forward and rest my head hopelessly on my hands. No one's ever going to believe me, or even listen to me. If only I had some proof. But where am I supposed to get that from? A bleeping from my mobile phone makes me jump, and I look up blearily. I'd almost forgotten where I was. I pick it up and see that I've got a text. I'm downstairs. Have a surprise to show you. Nat. As I head downstairs, I'm really not with it. Flashes of anger keep overwhelming me as I think of Arnold's jocular smile, the way he encouraged my messy desk, the way he told me he'd do his very best for me, the way he listened as I blamed myself, as I apologized and groveled. The worst thing is, I never even tried to defend myself. I never questioned the fact that I couldn't remember seeing the memo. I immediately assumed the worst of myself, assumed it was my fault for having such a messy desk. Arnold knows me pretty well. Maybe that's what he was counting on. Bastard. Bastard. Hi, Nathaniel waves a hand in front of my face. Earth to Samantha. Oh, sorry. Hi. Somehow I muster a smile. Come this way. He grins and ushers me out to his car, which is an ancient Beetle convertible. As usual, rows of seed pots are crowding the back seat, and an old wooden spade is sticking out of the back. Madam, he opens the door gallantly. So, what are you showing me, I ask as I get in. Magical Mystery Tour. He smiles enigmatically and starts up the engine. We drive out of Lower Ebury and take a route I don't recognize through a tiny neighboring village and up into the hills. Nathaniel seems in a cheerful mood and tells me stories about each farm and pub that we pass, but I barely hear a word. My mind is still churning. I don't know what I can do. I can't even get into the building. I have no credibility. I'm powerless. And I only have 3 days. Once Arnold disappears off to the Bahamas, that'll be it. Here we are, and Nathaniel turns off the road onto a gravel drive. He maneuvers the car into place by a low brick wall, then stops the engine. What do you think? With an effort, I wrench my mind back to the present time. I peer around blankly. Yes, lovely. What am I supposed to be looking at? Samantha, are you okay? Nathaniel shoots me a curious glance. You seem on edge. I'm fine. I try to smile, just a bit tired. I open the car door to get out, away from his gaze. I shut the door behind me and look around. We're in some kind of courtyard. There's a ramshackle old stone house to the right with a for sale post. Ahead are banks of greenhouses glinting in the low sunlight. There are plots filled with rows of vegetables. There's a porta-cabin marked garden center. Hang on. I turn to see that Nathaniel has got out of the car too and is holding a sheaf of papers in his hands. A horticultural business opportunity, he reads aloud. 4 acres of land with 10 more available, subject to negotiation. 10,000 square feet of glass houses. 4-bedroom farmhouse. Needs work. You're buying this? I say, my attention fully grabbed. I'm thinking about it. I wanted to show you first. He spreads an arm around. It's a pretty good concern. Needs building up, but the land's there. We can get some polytunnels going, extend the offices. I can't take all this in. But what about the pubs? How come you're suddenly... It was you? What you said in the garden that day? He pauses, the breeze ruffling his hair. You're right, Samantha. I'm not a landlord. I'm a gardener. I'd be happier doing what I really want to do. So, I had a long talk with Mum, and she understood. We both reckon Eamon can take over. Not that he knows yet. Wow, I look around again, taking in a pile of wooden crates, stacks of seed trays, a tattered poster advertising Christmas trees. So you're really going to do it? I can see the excitement in his face. You only get one chance at life. Well, I think it's fantastic. And there's a house, he nods toward it, or at least there will be a house. It's a bit run down. Right. I take in the old stone house again. The paintwork is peeling and there's a shutter hanging off one hinge. It does look a bit of a mess. I wanted you to see it first, says Nathaniel. Get your approval. I mean, one day you might... He stops. All of a sudden, my relationship sensors are swiveling around madly, like the Hubble spotting an alien ship. What did they just pick up? What was he going to say? I might stay over, I supply at last. Exactly. Nathaniel rubs his nose. Shall we have a look? The house is bigger than it seems from the outside, with bare boards and old fireplaces and a creaking wooden staircase. One room has practically no plaster, and the kitchen is totally old-fashioned, with 1930s cupboards. Great kitchen, I shoot him a teasing look. I'm sure I could refit it to your cordon bleu standards, he returns. We make our way upstairs and into a huge bedroom overlooking the rear of the house. From above, the vegetable plots look like an orderly patchwork quilt, stretching away into the green meadow. I can see a little terrace down below, and a tiny private garden belonging to the house, all clematis and tangled roses. It's a beautiful place, I say, leaning on the windowsill. I love it. Standing here, looking out at the view, I feel like London is on another planet. Carter, Spink, and Arnold and all of them suddenly seem part of another life. But even as I'm gazing out at the restful country scene, I can't relax. All it would take is one phone call to the right person, if I had some proof, anything. My mind starts turning over the facts again, like a bird turning over empty snail shells. I'm going to drive myself crazy like this. What I was wondering is, suddenly I become aware that Nathaniel is speaking. In fact, I think he could have been speaking for a while, and I haven't heard a word. I hastily turn round to see him facing me. His cheeks are flushed, and he has an unfamiliar awkwardness about him. It looks like whatever he's been saying has required some effort. Do you feel the same way, Samantha? He coughs and breaks off into an expectant silence. I stare back at him dumbly. Do I feel the same way about what? Oh, shit, bollocks. The man I'm secretly falling in love with just made a romantic speech to me, probably the only one I'll get in my whole life, and I wasn't listening? I missed it. I want to shoot myself for being so rubbish. And now he's waiting for me to reply. What am I going to do? He's just spilled his heart to me. I can't say, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I pushed my hair back, playing for time. Well, you've given me quite a lot to think about. But do you agree? Okay, this is Nathaniel. I'm sure I agree with it, whatever it is. Yes, I give him the most sincere look I can muster. Yes, I agree, wholeheartedly. In fact, I've often thought so myself. Nathaniel is scrutinizing me. You agree, he says, as though to make sure. With everything? Yes. I'm starting to feel a bit nervous now. What have I agreed to? Even about the chimpanzees? The chimpanzees? I suddenly see Nathaniel's mouth twitching. He's on to me. You didn't listen to a word I was saying, did you? He says in matter-of-fact tones. I didn't realize you were saying something important, I wail, hanging my head. You should have warned me. Nathaniel looks at me incredulously. That took some nerve, saying all that. Say it again, I beg. Say it all again. I'll listen. He laughs, shaking his head. Maybe one day. I'm sorry, Nathaniel. Really, I am. I turn away to press my head against the window glass. I was just distracted. I know. He comes over and puts his arm around me, over my own. I can feel his steady heartbeat against me, calming me down. Samantha, what's up? It's your old relationship, isn't it? Yep, I mutter after a pause. Why don't you tell me about it? I could help. I turn around to face him. The sun is glowing in his eyes and on his burnished face. He's never looked more handsome. I know I can't hide my past forever. I could tell Nathaniel the whole story right here, right now. But at the same time, I know that the minute I tell him who I was, he'll look at me differently. Everything will change between us. I won't be Samantha anymore. I'll be a lawyer. And it's all so perfect as it is. I can't bear to rock the boat just yet. I don't want to bring that world into this one, I say at last. I just don't. Nathaniel opens his mouth again, but I turn away before he can speak. I stare out at the idyllic view, blinking against the rays of the sun, my mind in total turmoil. Maybe I should just give up on the whole nightmare. Forget about it. Let it go. The chances are I'll never be able to prove anything. Arnold has all the power. I have none. The chances are if I try to stir things up again, all I'll get is more humiliation and disgrace. I could so easily do nothing. I could just put it from my mind, as I've tried to do all this time. Close the door on my old life and leave it behind forever. I have a job. I have Nathaniel. I have a possible future here. But even as I'm thinking it, I know that's not what I'm going to do. I can't forget about it. I can't let it go. Chapter 21. Side note, I'm reading this off of novelful.cc. It's like a website I found online because I'm in bed and I can't find my copy. It's around here somewhere. Anyway, chapter 21. The city isn't the way I remember it. I can't believe how dirty it is, how rushed it is. As I arrived at Paddington Station this afternoon, I felt almost bewildered by the commuter crowds, moving like a swarm of ants over the concourse. I could smell the fumes. I saw the litter, things I never even noticed before. Did I just filter them out? Was I so used to them they faded into the background? But at the same time, the minute my feet hit the ground, I felt the buzz. By the time I reached the underground station, I'd already picked up my pace, matching the stride of everyone else, feeding my travel card into the machine at exactly the right angle, whipping it out with not a second to spare. And now I'm in the Starbucks around the corner from Carter Spink, sitting at the counter in the window, watching city-suited business people walking past, talking and gesticulating and making phone calls. The adrenaline is catching. My heart's already beating more quickly, and I haven't even gone inside the building yet. I glance at my watch yet again. Nearly time. The last thing I want to do is arrive early. The less time I spend in there, the better. As I drain my latte, my phone bleeps, but I ignore it. It'll be yet another message from Trish. She was livid when I told her I had to go away for a couple of days. In fact, she tried to stop me. So I told her I had a foot complaint that needed urgent attention from my specialist in London. In hindsight, this was a huge mistake, as she wanted to know every single gory detail. She even demanded I take off my shoe and show her. I had to spend 10 minutes improvising about bone misalignment while she peered at my foot and said it looks perfectly normal to me, in tones of great suspicion. She looked at me with mistrust for the rest of the day. Then she left a copy of Marie Claire casually open at the pregnant, need confidential advice advertisements. Honestly, I have to knock that one on the head or it'll be all over the village, and Iris will be knitting booties. I told Nathaniel in private that I had a situation to sort out with my old relationship. I could tell he wanted to know more details, that he was finding it hard being shut out, but he didn't press me. I think he saw how strained I was already. I look at my watch again. Time to go. I head for the ladies, face the mirror, and check my appearance. Unfamiliar blonde hair? Check. Tinted glasses? Check. Magenta lipstick? Check. I look nothing like my former self. Apart from the face, of course, if you look really closely. But the point is, no one's gonna look closely at me. This is what I'm counting on, anyway. Hi, I practice in a low, guttural tone. Pleased to meet you. I sound like a drag queen, but never mind. At least I don't sound like a lawyer. Keeping my head down, I leave Starbucks and walk along the street until I round the corner and see the distinctive granite steps and glass doors out of Carter Spink. I feel unreal being back here. The last time I saw those doors, I was pushing my way out of them, gibbering with panic, convinced I had wrecked my own career, convinced my life was over. Fury starts boiling up again, and I close my eyes briefly, trying to keep my emotions in line. I don't have any proof yet. I have to stay focused on what I'm doing. Come on, I can do this. I know my plan is slightly insane. I know my chances aren't great. It's unlikely Arnold has left proof of his misdemeanors just lying about. But I couldn't just give up, tamely stay in Lower Ebury, and let him get away with it. My anger is like a huge driving force inside me. I had to come here and at least try to find out what I can. And if they won't let me in the building as a lawyer, then I'll just have to go in as something else. I cross the road and resolutely head up the steps. I can almost see myself that day. A ghost-like figure running down them in a state of bewildered shock. It all seems like a lifetime ago now. I don't just look like a different person. I feel like a different person. I feel like I've been rebuilt. With a deep breath, I pull my Mac around me and push open the glass doors. As I step into the foyer, I feel a sudden giddy wave of disbelief. Am I actually doing this? Am I actually trying to blag my way, incognito, into the Carter Spink offices? My legs are wobbling and my hands feel damp, but I'm walking steadily forward over the shiny marble floor, my eyes fixed downward. I head toward the new receptionist, Melanie, who started only a couple of weeks before I left. Hi, I say in my drag queen voice. Can I help you? Melanie smiles at me. There's not a glimmer of recognition in her face. I can't believe this is so easy. In fact, I feel a tad insulted. Was I so nondescript before? I'm here for the party, I mumble, my head down. I'm waitressing. Bertram's caterers I had for good measure. Oh, yes. That's all happening up on the 14th floor. She taps on her computer. What's your name? It's Trish, I say. Trish Geyser. Melanie peers at the computer screen, frowning and tapping her pen on her teeth. You're not on my list, she says at last. Well, I should be there. I keep my head well down. There must be a mistake. Let me call up. Melanie taps on her phone and has a brief conversation with someone called Jen, then looks up. She'll be down to see you. She gestures to the leather sofas with a smile. Please take a seat. I head toward the seating area, then veer in a sharp U-turn as I see David Spellman from corporate sitting on one of the sofas with a client. Not that he seems to have recognized me. I walk toward a rack of glossy leaflets on Carter Spink's philosophy and bury my head in one on dispute resolution. I've never actually read any of these leaflets before. Gosh, they really are a load of meaningless crap. Trish? Yes. I swivel around to see a woman in a tuxedo with a rattled face. She's holding some type sheets and regarding me with a frown. Jen Martin, head of waiting staff, you are not on my list. Have you worked for us before? I'm new, I say, keeping my voice low, but I've worked for Ebury Catering down in Gloucestershire. Don't know it. She consults our paper again and flips the second page, her brow creased in impatience. Love, you're not on the list. I don't know what you're doing here. I spoke to a guy, I say without flickering. He said you could do with extra. A guy? She looks perplexed. Who? Tony? I don't remember his name, but he said to come here. He couldn't have said, this is Carter Spink, isn't it? I look around. 95 Cheapside? A big retirement party? Yes. I see the beginnings of doubt on the woman's face. Well, I was told to come here. I allowed just the faintest belligerence into my voice. I can see the calculation going on in this woman's head. If she turns me away, I might cause a scene. She's got other pressing stuff to think about. What's one extra waitress? All right, she says at last with an irritated noise, but you'll have to change. What's your name again? Trish Geiger. That's right. She scribbles it down. Well, you'd better come up, Trish. I feel almost elated as I travel up in the service elevator with Jen, a plastic label reading Trish Geiger attached to my lapel. Now, all I need to do is keep my head down, bide my time, and when the moment is right, get onto the 11th floor. We come out in the kitchens attached to the executive function rooms, and I look around in surprise. I had no idea this was all back here. It's like going backstage at a theater. Chefs are working busily at the cooking stations, and waiting staff are milling around in distinctive green and white striped uniforms. The outfits are in there, and Jen points to a huge wicker basket full of folded uniforms. You'll need to get changed. Okay, I rummage around for an outfit in my size and take it off to the ladies to change. I touch up my magenta lipstick and pull my hair further around my face, then look at my watch. It's 5:40 now. The party's at 6. By about 10 past, the 11th floor should be clearing. Arnold is a very popular partner. No one's going to miss his farewell speech if they can help it. Plus, at Carter Spink parties, the speeches always happen early on, so people can get back to work if they need to. And while everyone's listening, I'll slip down to Arnold's office. It should work. It has to work. As I stare at my own bizarre reflection, I feel a grim resolve hardening inside me. He's not going to get away with everyone thinking he's a cheery, harmless little teddy bear. He's not going to get away with it. At 10
10 to 6, we all gather in one of the kitchens and receive our orders. Hot canapes, cold canapes, I barely listen to any of it. It's not like I'm intending to do any actual waiting. After Jen's lecture is over, I follow the herd of waiting staff out of the kitchen. I'm given a tray of champagne glasses to carry, which I put down as soon as I can. Then head back to the kitchen and grab an open bottle of champagne and a napkin. As soon as I'm sure no one's looking, I escape to the ladies. Okay, this is the difficult bit. I lock myself in a cubicle and wait for 15 minutes in utter silence. I don't clatter anything, and I don't sneeze, and I don't giggle when I hear a girl rehearsing her breakup speech to someone called Mike. It's the longest 15 minutes of my life. At last, I cautiously unbolt the door, make my way out, and peer around the corner. From where I'm standing, I can see the entrance to the big function room. A crowd has already gathered, and I can hear laughter and lots of loud talking. People are still coming down the corridor in a steady stream. I recognize the girls from PR, a couple of trainees, Oliver Swan, a senior partner. They all head into the party, taking a glass as they do so. The corridor's clear. Go. With trembling legs, I walk straight past the entrance to the function room, toward the lifts and the door to the stairwell. Within 30 seconds, I'm safely through the door and walking as quietly as I can down the stairs. No one ever uses the stairs at Carter Spink, but still. I reach the 11th floor and peer out of the glass panel in the door. Can't see anyone, but that doesn't mean that no one's there. There could be a whole crowd of them just out of my line of vision. Well, that's a risk I'll have to take. I take a few deep breaths, trying to psych myself up. No one will ever recognize me in my green and white waitress gear. And I even have a story if anyone challenges me. I'm on this floor to place this bottle of champagne in Mr. Seville's room as a surprise. Come on, I can't waste any more time. Slowly I push the door open, step out onto the blue carpeted corridor, and exhale in relief. It's empty. The whole floor is pretty much dead. Everyone must have gone up to the party. I can hear someone on the phone a few yards away, but as I start nervously walking toward Arnold's office, all the surrounding workstations are empty. All my senses are on red alert. The crucial thing is to use my time efficiently. I'll start with the computer and take it from there. Or maybe I should start with the filing cabinet, have a quick look while the computer is warming up. Or I'll search his desk drawers. His BlackBerry could be in there, I hadn't thought of that. Suddenly I can hear voices behind me coming out of the lifts. In panic, I pick up my pace. I reach Arnold's office, wrench the door open, slam it behind me, and duck down underneath the glass panel. I can hear the voices getting closer. David Eldridge and Keith Thompson and someone I don't recognize. They pass by the door and I don't move a muscle. Then they're receding into the distance, thank goodness. I let out my breath, slowly rise to my feet and peep through the glass. I can't see anyone. I'm safe. Only then do I turn around and survey the office. It's empty. It's been cleared out. Bewildered, I take a few steps into the room. The desk is empty. The shelves are empty. There are faint squares on the walls where framed photos have been taken down. There's nothing in this office apart from one piece of industrial tape on the floor and some drawing pins still stuck into the pin board. I can't believe it. After all this effort, after making it this far, there's nothing to bloody search. There must be boxes. I think in sudden inspiration. Yes, It's all been put into boxes to be moved, and they'll all be stacked outside. I hurry out of the office and look around wildly, but I can't see any boxes, no crates, nothing. I'm too late. I'm too fucking late. I feel like punching something with frustration. Excuse me? I freeze. Shit. Yes. I turn around, pulling my hair over my face and gazing firmly downward. What on earth are you doing here? It's a trainee, Bill. What's his name? He used to do occasional bits of work for me. It's alright, he hasn't recognized me. I was delivering a bottle of champagne, sir. I mumble in my best drag queen voice, nodding to the bottle where I left it on the floor. Surprise for the gentleman. I was just wondering where to put it. I'd just leave it on the desk, says Bill curtly, and you shouldn't be in here. I was just going back, sir. I dump the bottle on the desk, bow my head, and scuttle out. Bloody hell, that was close. I head to the stairwell and hurry up the stairs, flustered. It's time to exit this building before anyone else sees me. The party's still in full swing as I creep out of the stairwell door and hurry toward the room where I left my clothes. I won't bother to change. I can always mail the waitress gear back. Trish? Jan's voice hits the back of my head. Is that you? Fuck. Reluctantly, I turn around to face her. She looks hopping mad. Where the hell have you been? Serving? No, you haven't. I haven't seen you in there once, she snaps. You're not working for me again, I can tell you. Now, take these and pull your weight. She thrusts a plate of tiny little eclairs into my arms and pushes me roughly toward the doors of the party. No, I can't go in there. No way. Absolutely, I just have to get some cocktail napkins. I try to back away, but she grabs me. No, you don't. You wanted this job. Now, work. She shoves me hard, and I stagger into the crowded room. I feel like a gladiator being pushed into the arena. Jan's standing at the door, her arms folded. There's no way out. I'm going to have to do this. I grip the tray more tightly, lower my head, and advance slowly into the crowded room. I can't walk naturally. My legs feel like boards. The hairs on the nape of my neck are standing on end. I can feel the blood pulsating through my ears. I edge past expensive suits, not daring to look up, not daring to pause in case I attract attention. I can't believe this is happening. I'm dressed up in a green and white uniform, serving mini eclairs to my former colleagues. But one thing I've learned from doing parties with Eamon is the waiting staff are invisible. And sure enough, no one seems to have noticed. Several hands have plucked eclairs from the tray without even glancing at me. Everyone's too busy laughing and chatting. The din is tremendous. I can't see Arnold anywhere, but he has to be here somewhere. I'm compelled to look for him, to raise my head and search him out, but I can't risk it. Instead, I keep on moving steadily around the room. Familiar faces are everywhere. Snatches of conversation are making my ears perk up. Where's Kennerman? Someone is asking as I pass by. In Dublin for the day, replies Oliver Swan. But he'll be at the partners' farewell dinner tomorrow night. I breathe out in relief. If Ketterman were here, I'm sure his laser eyes would pick me up at once. Eclairs, fam. About 8 hands dive into my tray at once, and I come to a standstill. It's a group of trainees, hoovering food as trainees always do at parties. I'm starting to feel edgy. The longer I stand here without moving, the more exposed I feel, but I can't get away. Their hands keep plunging in for more. Are there any more of the strawberry tarts, do you know? A guy with rimless glasses asks me. I don't know, I mutter, staring down. Shit, now he's peering at me more closely. He's bending down to get a good look, and I can't pull my hair over my face because both hands are holding the tray. Is that Samantha Sweeting? He looks agog. Is that you? Samantha Sweeting? One of the girls drops her eclair. Another gasps and claps her hand over her mouth. Yes, I whisper at last, my face boiling. It's me, but please don't tell anyone. I want to keep a low profile. So this is what you do now? The rimless glasses guy looks aghast. You're a waitress? The trainees are all staring at me as though I'm the ghost of failed lawyer's future. It's not so bad. I attempt an upbeat smile. You get free canapes. So you make one mistake, and that's it? Gulps the girl who dropped her eclair. Your legal career is ruined forever? Pretty much, I nod. Can I offer you another? But no one seems hungry anymore. In fact, they all look rather green about the gills. I might just pop back to my desk, stammers the guy with rimless glasses. Just check I haven't got anything outstanding. Me too, says the girl, thrusting down her glass. Samantha Sweeting is here. I suddenly hear another of the trainees hissing to a group of junior associates. Look, she's a waitress. No, I gasp. Don't tell anyone else. It's too late. I can see all the people in the group turning to look at me with identical expressions of embarrassed horror. For an instant, I'm so mortified I want to curl up on the spot. These are people I used to work with. These are people who respected me, and now I'm dressed up in stripes, serving them. But then, slowly, I begin to feel defiant. Fuck you, I find myself thinking. Why shouldn't I work as a waitress? Hi, I say, shaking back my hair. Care for a dessert? More and more people are turning to gasp at me. I can hear the whispering around the room. The other waitstaff are all clustered together, goggling at me. Heads are swiveling everywhere now, like iron filings in a magnetic field. There isn't one friendly face among them. Jesus Christ, I hear someone murmur, look at her. Should she be here? Exclaims someone else. No, I say, trying to sound composed. You're right, I shouldn't. I make to leave, but the melee is all around me now. I can't find a way out. And then my stomach plunges. Through a gap in the throng, I spot a familiar shock of woolly hair, familiar ruddy cheeks, a familiar jovial smile. Arnold Seville. Our eyes meet across the room, and although he keeps smiling, there's a hardness to his gaze that I've never seen before. A special anger just for me. I feel sick, almost scared. Not of his anger, but of his duplicity. He's fooled everyone. To everyone else in this room, Arnold Seville is on a par with Father Christmas. A way has parted in the crowd, and he's coming toward me. a glass of champagne in his hand. "Samantha," he says in pleasant tones, "is this appropriate?" "You had me banned from the building," I hear myself bite back. "I didn't have much choice." Oh gosh, wrong answer. Too chippy. I have to get control of myself, or I'm going to lose this confrontation. I'm already at enough of a disadvantage, standing here in waitress gear, being peered at by the entire room as if I'm something the dog dragged in. I need to be calm and steely and inspired, but seeing Arnold in the flesh after all this time has thrown me off balance. As hard as I try to stay calm, I can't. My face is burning, my chest feels tight. All the traumas of the last few weeks are suddenly erupting inside me in a whoosh of hatred. "You had me fired." The words burst out before I can stop them. "You lied." "Samantha, I know this must have been a very difficult time for you." Arnold has the air of a headmaster dealing with a wayward pupil, but really, he turns to a man I don't recognize and rolls his eyes. "Former employee," he says in an undertone, "mentally unstable." What? "I'm not mentally unstable," I cry. "I just want to know the answer to one simple question. When exactly did you put that memo on my desk?" Arnold laughs, seemingly incredulous. "Samantha, I'm retiring. Is this really the time? Could someone get rid of her?" he adds an aside. "That's why you didn't want me to come back to the office, isn't it?" My voice is trembling with indignation, because I might start asking tricky questions, because I might work it out. A little frisson travels around the room, but not in a good way. I can hear people murmuring, "For gosh sakes," and "How did she get in here?" If I want to retain any credibility or dignity at all, I have to stop talking right now. But I can't stop. "I didn't make that mistake, did I?" I walk toward him. "You used me. You wrecked my career. You watched my whole life go into free fall." "Really?" snaps Arnold, turning away. "This is getting beyond a joke." "Just answer the question," I yell at his back. "When did you put that memo on my desk, Arnold? Because I don't believe it was ever there before the deadline." "Of course it was there." Arnold turns briefly, bored and dismissive. "I came into your office on May 28th. May 28th? Where did May 28th come from? Why does that feel wrong? "I don't believe you," I say with a helpless anger. "I just don't believe you. I think you set me up. I think—" "Samantha?" Someone pokes me on the shoulder, and I wheel around to see Ernest, the security guard. His familiar gnarled face is awkward. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises." They're seriously throwing me out of the offices after practically living here for 7 years of my life? I can feel my last shreds of composure disappearing. Hot tears of rage and humiliation are pressing against my eyes. "Just leave, Samantha," says Oliver Swan pityingly. "Don't embarrass yourself any further." I stare at him for a few seconds, then transfer my gaze to each of the senior partners in turn, searching for a shred of empathy, but there's none. "I was a good lawyer," I say, my voice shaking. "I did a good job, you all know it. But you just wiped me out like I never existed." I swallow down the lump in my throat. "Well, your loss." The room is totally silent as I put the tray of eclairs down on a nearby table and stalk out of the room. The moment I'm out the door, I can hear an animated conversation breaking out behind me. I'm even more of a joke than I was before. I travel down in the lift with earnest and total silence. If I open my mouth, I might burst into tears. When I get out of the building, I check my mobile. There's a text from Nan on my phone, asking how things went. I read it several times, but I can't bring myself to reply. Nor can I bring myself to go back to the Geiger's house. Even though I could probably still catch a train, I can't face them tonight. On automatic pilot, I head down to the underground and onto a tube. I can see my face in the window opposite, pale and expressionless. And all the way my mind is buzzing. May 28th. May 28th. I don't hit on the answer until I'm arriving. At my building, May 28th. Chelsea Flower Show. Of course. We were at Chelsea all day on May 28th. Arnold, Ketterman, Guy, and I doing some corporate entertaining. Arnold arrived straight from Paris, and afterward he was driven home. He wasn't even in the office. He lied. Of course he did. I feel a wave of weary anger rising inside me. But there's nothing I can do now. No one will ever believe me. I'll live the rest of my life with everyone convinced it was my mistake. I get out at my floor, already fumbling for the key, hoping against hope that Mrs. Farley won't hear me, already planning a long hot bath. And then, as I'm almost at my door, I stop dead, thinking hard. Slowly I turn and head back to the lift. There's one more chance. I have nothing to lose. I rise up 2 floors and come out of the lift. It's almost identical to my floor. Same carpet, same wallpaper, same lamps. Just different numbers on the apartment doors, 31 and 32. I can't remember which one I want, so in the end I plump for 31. Has a softer doormat. I sink down on the floor, put my bag down, lean against the door, and wait. By the time Ketterman appears out of the lift doors, I'm drained. I've been sitting here for 3 solid hours without anything to eat or drink. I feel pale and exhausted, but at the sight of him I scramble to my feet, clutching the wall as I feel a wash of fatigue. For a moment Ketterman looks shocked, then he resumes his usual stony expression. Samantha, what are you doing here? As I stand there, I wonder if he's heard about me going to the offices. He must have. He'll have heard the whole gory tale. Not that he's giving anything away. What are you doing here? He repeats. He is holding an enormous metal briefcase in one hand, and his face is shadowed under the artificial lights. I take a step forward. I know I'm the last person you want to see. I rub my aching neck. Believe me, I don't want to be here either. Out of all the people in the world I could turn to for help, you would be the last. You are the last. I break off for a moment. Ketterman hasn't even flickered. So the fact that I'm here, coming to you, should prove it to you. I look at him desperately. I'm serious. I have something to tell you and you have to listen. You have to. I can hear a car braking in the street outside and someone laughing raucously. Ketterman's face is still rigid. I can't tell what he's thinking. Then, at last, he reaches in his pocket for a key. He walks past me, unlocks the door to flat 32, and finally turns. Come in.